It was December, freezing cold. Now, it's always cold in December in Vermont, but this night it was really cold. It was like -5. It was a night, and it was downtown Burlington, 177 Pearl Street, which is where the Spectrum Drop-In Center is, and I work at Spectrum. Drop-In Center is where homeless teenagers and teenagers who are precariously housed can get lunch and dinner, change of clothes, take a shower. And we invited about 20 of them there as a gathering because we also invited Vermont legislators, people in the House of Representatives. There are about 6 of them. And it started as this question and answer session about issues. And then one of the representatives, a man, said, "Hey, how many of you kids know somebody who's homeless out there tonight?" Again, it was like -5. And about half the hands went up. Then he said, "How many of you kids have ever been homeless even one night in your life?" Every hand went up. He said, "Where do you sleep?" So they told him. Laundromats, behind restaurants, park benches, empty train cars. So then a different representative, a woman, said, "You know, if you kids could turn the clock back 5 or 10 years, what decisions would you make so you're not in this position now?" So the boy next to her said, "I'll go first. 10 years ago, I was 8 years old. I was living in the Northeast Kingdom. My parents were alcoholics. Not the kind of alcoholics who would each have a martini and go quietly to bed. They would each drink a fifth of vodka and beat the shit out of each other and beat the shit out of us, the children, every night. So there really wasn't something I could do at age 8 to change that." The young woman next to him said, "I'll go next. 10 years ago, I was 7. I was living in Rutland. My parents were drug addicts. My father died of a heroin overdose. Most of my memories of my mother are of the police raiding our house and visiting her in prison. Eventually, I grew up and I became a drug addict too. In fact, I was in rehab, and when I left rehab, I knew that if I went back to Rutland, I would be right back to using drugs. But someone told me about this place, Spectrum. I've been living here, and I've been clean ever since. But there really wasn't a decision I could make at age 7 to change things." Next boy went. He said, "I grew up here in Burlington. My parents divorced when I was little, and my father got custody of me, and when I was 15, I told him I was gay, and he kicked me out of the house, and I've been homeless ever since." So around the room we went, and not everybody spoke, but a lot of the kids did, and it was story after story like that. So we're getting near the end, and there's a young woman sitting in front of me on a couch, and her I knew pretty well. Came from poverty, dysfunctional family. She had been addicted to cocaine. She had been in rehab. She had relapsed. She tried to take her life once when she was living in our shelter, and our staff found her and rushed her to the hospital, and they saved her life. So she hasn't said anything, but just as we're about to wrap up, she looks at the representatives and says, "I know that when you look at us, you're probably thinking, oh, these are kids who are rebelling just for the sake of rebelling, or running away just for the sake of running away. But every kid who walks through these doors has a different story to tell, and most of those stories are quite tragic." So finally, the man who had started the discussion, said, "I'm leaving here to go to South Burlington High School for a dialogue night, and I'm not going to hear stories like this." So that was about, 12 years ago, 15 years ago, and I've lost track of most of those kids. They're probably in their 30s now. I hope they're doing well. The young woman from Rutland, she ended up graduating from high school. She invited me to the ceremony. She was the commencement speaker. And a couple of years later, I got a Christmas card, and it said, "This program and the staff who worked here saved my life. Merry Christmas." And the young woman on the couch lived with us for about a year, did well, left us, got into college, graduated with a bachelor's degree in social work, and that's what she does today. She helps people. So it was a powerful gathering. It was a powerful night, because it's very easy to make suppositions and draw conclusions when we see someone who's homeless, or someone who's in prison, or someone who's addicted to drugs, because we don't know the backstory, do we? We don't know what they've endured. We don't know what trauma they've gone through. But that night, we heard it, and it changed every legislator there, and it changed me too. Thank you.
Thank you.